appreciate you guys listening. But we're going to look ahead right now. So obviously, as everyone knows, it's week 5. It's rivalry week. Wow, that's a tongue twister. We are playing our divisional opponents, the Denver Broncos. I believe this one is in Denver. Let me just pull this up real quick. But before I pull this up, I just want to give a quick reminder that in the last 4 seasons, we have swept the Broncos. And for my cousin Nick listening, I hope you've liked all 4 years that we've played you guys, because I have. So yes, we're playing them in Denver. And I'm going to be completely honest. This game makes me nervous. The reason why is because it's not that I think that Bo Nix and Sean Payton's offense is going to run all over the Raiders or anything like that. I am nervous that the Raiders are going to be complacent in knowing that the last 4 seasons we have defeated them 8 consecutive times, and we're going for, in theory, another sweep. Eventually, records get broken, win streaks, get snapped, and I'm going to be honest. Maybe this is an upset waiting to happen for us, because Denver Broncos don't look like a very productive offensive team. Bo Nix has had, I think, 1 good game, and the rest has been okay. Not a great game against New York. It was a rainy game, even though the Broncos came out and they won. But the previous games before that, they haven't looked the greatest. They look like an offense that's still figuring it out. Their defense is what I worry about with Patrick Surtain. We don't have Davante Adams, who is basically a neutralizer for Patrick Surtain. And that I'm worried about that, because I know that Jacoby Myers is up to the challenge. I don't think that there's going to be a world where we have no receptions and no yards. I'm sure that we will get some sort of productivity. But for the Raiders, our run game is questionable. We had a good game against the Browns rushing, but Zamir White didn't really help in that factor. He had 2 long rushes, but really it was Alex Madison that really had the long games that had the production. And so he's probably going to be the lead back. I hope we can continue that, because our offensive line still needs a lot of work. In each 4 games that we've played, we're the team that gives up the most sacks amongst the team that we're playing. And yet we're the ones that have the better defense, so to speak. Granted, we didn't have Max Crosby during the Browns game, and hopefully we'll get him back this week. But point being is, the reason why I wouldn't be surprised if maybe we should be on upset alert here for the Broncos is because they have nothing to lose. We have all the drama, we have all the pressure on us, and the last thing Raider Nation needs is to lose to our divisional opponent that we essentially have swept 4 years in a row.
Drew Coat Sports Talk is powered by StreamYard. Want to take your podcast to the next level? Use StreamYard. It's the easiest way to record, stream, or produce high-quality episodes, whether you're solo or with guests. Plus, when you sign up today, you'll get a $10 credit to get started. Use the link in our bio. Don't miss out. StreamYard is your key to seamless podcasting.
Especially in the same season where we lost to a team in the Carolina Panthers that was touted as the worst team in the NFL because of the quarterback that they had, and then they make one change, and then now, they look like a better offensive team. And unfortunately, we were their first victory on, and it was a blowout nonetheless. So, if I'm the Raiders, of course, and I've said this a couple of weeks ago, we need to respect our opponents. No matter what team we play, they're in the NFL. They're professionals. They are people that they are grown men that have bills, responsibility, pride. They're in the NFL for a reason. Whether some people agree with them or not, they are amongst the rest of us regular people. They are 1% the best athletes in the world that do what they do on an NFL level. So to just think that they are just going to roll over and play dead is naive. And this is why, I think the Raiders, if they can stick to an offensive game plan where they get into rhythm quickly, play calling is super important. Luke Getsy here, he hasn't done great play calling in the first 4 games. So this one, we're probably going to expect it's going to be rough. So we'll see how we develop, and especially our run game. If Alex Madison can get it going early to where he can penetrate the holes and he can find the lanes, break away, get a lot of tough yards to where it chips away at the interior of the Broncos, I think the Raiders have a chance, because now if Madison then gets into the interior and we're moving the line of scrimmage, then it gets into the play action. Then we can get Brock Bowers involved, who's extremely athletic, to where basically, even though we're going to lose Devontae Adams, we still have Brock Bowers, which is like a number one receiver, even though he's at a tight end position. And so you have Jacoby Myers, who's a very serviceable receiver who has played the one on a previous team before and can certainly do it now. Now that Trey Tucker is kind of getting more involved with the offense and Gardner Minshew, maybe we have a chance to catch the Broncos sleeping. But our offensive line, as I mentioned, is a problem. Can they protect Gardner Minshew to where he can stay in rhythm? Gardner Minshew is going to have to be a little bit more cautious with protecting the ball, just because the secondary will capitalize on their mistakes. Patrick Surtain, I imagine we're probably going to challenge him, but he will be somebody that will capitalize on our mistakes. And Gardner Minshew is already a quarterback that we have that is basically, we can expect at least one turnover from him, but we don't want a game where there's multiple turnovers, because just like what happened against the Chargers, we give the offense multiple opportunities and they turn the ball over, and now our defense is on the field too much. It's gonna get worn out, and we need to just play our game, control the line of scrimmage, also control the penalties. Our penalties the last 2 weeks have been outrageous. Granted, against the Browns, I think we committed 6 penalties before the first half. We didn't commit any the rest of the half. So hopefully that discipline issue has kind of been resolved a little bit, because one of the things that AP really cleaned up was the penalties that the Raiders constantly committed, which is funny to say because, it wasn't very long ago where the Raiders reset the penalty record from previously breaking their own and then previously breaking their own. They literally set the record, I think, 2 or 3 different times. So to hear that we have a coach that has gotten us to be more disciplined to where we are the least penalized team in the league, we need to use that to our advantage. So that way we don't set ourselves back. We don't create more opportunities for the Broncos to potentially get back in the game or take lead or whatever the case may be. So, I think the Broncos, they're working out a lot of kinks, and so are the Raiders. I think, again, I'm still pretty confident that the Raiders could come out with a victory just because of how the offense is and how our defense is. But I wouldn't sleep on the Broncos, and especially with having a surprise victory over the Jets, and their defense has been holding opponents to not very much scoring, and that secondary has been a problem for most opposing teams. Again, we don't have a great all-time quarterback that's going to be able to challenge that secondary. We got Gardner Minshew, who needs to get into rhythm, and he will have some errors, and we need to be able to combat that and be able to still remain competitive even against all that. So that's what I would say. I'm pretty confident in that. I think we'll still come out with a victory, but we cannot sleep on this team. I mean, yes, we've beaten them 4 consecutive years in a row, swept them each time. I think we've won the previous 8 matchups, but I don't want this to be the game where we snap that win streak. I want to keep it going. We need to grow it.